Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are coming back to the UK. I know, I can hear some of you already groaning. Not another Harry and Meghan thing, Jenny. Can we just not? And honestly, I get it. We've all got royal fatigue. We've all got Sussex fatigue. We've all seen about 1,000,000 headlines and formed about 1,000,000 opinions. And most of us are just tired. But here's why I'm talking about it. Because when they come back, the media machine is going to crank up again. The headlines are going to get nasty. The comment sections are going to get brutal. And I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried about what that's going to do to two people who have already been through the absolute ringer. Specifically, I'm worried about Meghan. Because when she did that Oprah interview and said she'd had suicidal thoughts, when she said she didn't want to be alive anymore, she was accused of lying. She was accused of exaggerating. She was accused of playing the victim. People said she was being dramatic. People said she was manipulating the narrative. People said she was faking it for sympathy. People said it didn't happen. Let me be really clear about this. When someone tells you they were suicidal, you don't get to decide they're lying. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. That's not skepticism, that's cruelty dressed up as cynicism. And now she's coming back to the country where that happened. The country where the media hounded her. The country where the tabloids printed things about her that were racist, misogynistic, and honestly just vile. The country where a huge chunk of the population seemed to decide she was the villain of the story because she'd even unpacked her suitcases. She's coming back, and I'm worried about her. I'm worried about Harry, and I'm really, really worried about their children. Because the hate isn't going to stop. It never does. It just waits. It just finds new angles, new headlines, new ways to tear them down. And I think we need to talk about that. So grab a cuppa. This one's a bit heavier, but I think it matters. Let's go back to 2021, the Oprah interview. 67 million people watched it, including me. 67 million. That's not a small number. That's a lot of people watching two people talk about their pain. And what did Meghan say? She said she'd had suicidal thoughts. She said she didn't want to be alive anymore. She said she'd gone to the institution and asked for help and been told no. That she couldn't get support. That she was told it wouldn't look good. She said, I was really ashamed to have to say it at the time. I was really ashamed to have to admit it to Harry. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore. Let that sink in. A woman in a new country, isolated from her family, hounded by the press, pregnant, and so desperate that she didn't want to be alive anymore, and she was told no. And what happened next? She was accused of lying. People said it was an exaggeration. People said she was weaponizing mental health. People said she was manipulating the narrative. People said effectively she didn't really feel that way. She's just saying it for sympathy. One of the most prominent TV personalities in the UK, Piers Morgan, said on live television, I don't believe a word she says. He said he didn't believe she was suicidal. He said it was a load of rubbish and then he walked off set when someone challenged him. And here's the thing. Even if you don't like Meghan, even if you think she's difficult or demanding or whatever label you want to put on her, you don't get to decide that someone's mental health crisis isn't real. You don't get to decide that someone's suicidal thoughts were faked. You don't get to decide that someone's pain isn't valid because you don't like them. That's not how mental health works. That's not how any of this works. When someone tells you they wanted to die, you listen. You don't fact check. You don't interrogate. You don't say, prove it. You listen. And we, as a society, failed Meghan. We failed her spectacularly. We watched her cry on television and we called her a liar. Let's talk about what Meghan has been up against since she joined the royal family. From the very beginning, The media coverage of Meghan was different. It was worse. It was more vicious, and a lot of it was racist. Let's just be honest about that. Studies have shown that Meghan received significantly more negative press coverage than Kate Middleton, and a lot of that coverage was explicitly or implicitly racist, exotic, straight out of Compton, her roots. These weren't subtle digs, these were clear, obvious racist attacks. And it wasn't just the tabloids, it was the comment sections, it was social media, it was the public. There was a coordinated, relentless campaign of hate against this woman from the moment she appeared on the scene. Why? Because she was different, because she was American, because she was mixed race, because she was outspoken, because she didn't play the game the way she was supposed to, because she didn't curtsy low enough, because she hugged people instead of shaking hands, because she wore the wrong colour, because she existed in a space where some people decided she didn't belong. And the media stoked the fire. They printed stories that were designed to make people hate her. They put headlines on the front pages that were designed to provoke outrage. They built a narrative of Meghan as the difficult one, the demanding one, the one who made Harry leave. And then, when she broke down, when she said she couldn't take it anymore, when she said she didn't want to be alive, they accused her of lying. That is the cruelty of it. They pushed her to the edge, and then they told her she was making it up. And it's not just Meghan. Harry has been open about his own mental health struggles for years. He's talked about the trauma of losing his mother when he was just 12 years old. He's talked about how he buried that grief for years. He's talked about how he numbed it with alcohol and drugs. He's talked about how he finally sought help after years of struggling. He's been one of the most prominent male voices on mental health in the world. He's spoken openly about therapy. He's spoken openly about grief. He's spoken openly about the importance of talking. He's been a genuine, visible advocate for mental health. And yet when he and Meghan spoke out, when they said the system had failed them, when they said the media had hounded them, they were accused of being attention-seeking. They were accused of milking their trauma. They were accused of using mental health as a PR strategy. So let me get this straight. Harry talks about his mental health. He's brave. Meghan talks about her mental health. She's lying. Harry talks about his trauma. He's a hero. Meghan talks about her trauma. She's playing the victim. Do you see the double standard here? Do you see how the same behaviour is praised in one person and punished in another? And it's not just a double standard. It's a gendered double standard. It's a racist double standard. It's the same old story of a woman being punished for being visible, for being vocal, for not knowing her place. Harry has talked about how the British press has been toxic and destructive. He's talked about how they've fueled a media frenzy that has been hateful and dangerous. He's talked about how he fears for his family's safety. And those fears aren't unfounded. His mother was chased by paparazzi and died in a car crash. That is not a hypothetical. That is not an overreaction. That is his lived experience. So when he says he's worried about his wife and children, I believe him. When he says he fears for their safety, I believe him. When he says the media is dangerous, I believe him. Because he's been there before and he knows what happens. And then there are the children, Archie and Lilibet. They're just kids. They didn't choose any of this. They didn't ask to be born into a family that's been torn apart by the media. They didn't ask to be the subject of headlines and speculation and hate before they could even talk. And yet, the hate has already started. People have made cruel comments about Lilibet's name. People have made cruel comments about her skin colour. People have already decided that these children are somehow not royal enough or too American or just not what they wanted. And now they're coming back to the UK. They're coming back to the country where their grandmother was hounded to her death. They're coming back to the country where their mother was vilified for existing. They're coming back to the country where their father has spoken openly about the trauma of losing his mother to the media. And I can't help but wonder, what is this going to do to them? Because kids notice things. Kids pick up tension. Kids know when something is wrong. And even if they're shielded from the headlines, they'll feel the atmosphere. They'll feel the eyes on them. They'll feel that they're different. They'll feel that something is off. And I don't want that for them. I don't want any child to grow up feeling like they're not wanted. I don't want any child to grow up feeling like they're a target. I don't want any child to grow up feeling like they're the reason their family is broken. So what am I worried about? I'm worried about Meghan. I'm worried about what it will do to her to come back to a country where she was so viciously attacked. I'm worried about the toll it will take on her mental health. I'm worried about whether she has the support she needs. I'm worried about whether she feels safe. I'm worried about Harry. I'm worried about what it will do to him to come back to a country that reminds him of his mother's death. I'm worried about the trauma it will trigger. I'm worried about whether he's got the support he needs. I'm worried about whether he feels like he can protect his family. I'm worried about the children. I'm worried about what it will do to them to be exposed to that level of scrutiny and hate. I'm worried about how it will shape their sense of self. I'm worried about what they'll internalise. And I'm worried about what it says about us. Because when a woman says she was suicidal and we accuse her of lying, that says something about us. When a man says he fears for his family's safety and we tell him he's overreacting, that says something about us. When children are subjected to hate before they can even speak, that says something about us. We can do better than this. We have to do better than this. So what can we do? It's easy to feel helpless. It's easier to feel like the media machine is too big, too powerful, too relentless. It's easy to feel like nothing we do will make a difference. But that's not true. We can make a difference. We can choose not to engage with the hate. We can choose not to click on the headlines designed to provoke outrage. We can choose not to share the articles designed to tear them down. We can choose to be kind. We can choose to believe people when they tell us they're struggling. We can choose to say, I hear you, instead of prove it. We can choose to remember that Harry and Meghan are human beings, that they have feelings, that they've been through unimaginable trauma, that they deserve compassion, not cruelty. We can choose to protect our own mental health by not consuming content that makes us feel angry and hateful, because the media machine feeds on our outrage. It needs us to be angry. It needs us to be outraged. It needs us to click and share and comment. And we can choose not to play that game. We can also remember that this isn't just about Harry and Meghan. It's about how we treat anyone who's in the public eye. It's about how we treat anyone who's different. It's about how we treat anyone who's struggling. If we can learn to be kinder to Harry and Meghan, maybe we can learn to be kinder to each other. So Harry and Meghan are coming back to the UK. I know some of you are tired of hearing about them. I get it, I really do. Royal fatigue is real. Sussex fatigue is real. But I think it's worth paying attention to, because when they come back, the hate will start again. The headlines will get nasty, the comments will get brutal, and I'm worried. I'm worried about Meghan, I'm worried about Harry, and I'm worried about their children. I think we should be too. If this resonated with you, if you've ever been worried about the toll of public hate on someone's mental health, or if you've ever been the target of that kind of hate yourself, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think we can do. If you're new here, please subscribe. It helps more than you know. There are links in the show notes if you'd like to support the show. Until next time, be kind to your brain, be kind to each other, and if you see someone struggling, don't accuse them of lying. Just listen. This is Anxiously Ever After. I'm Jenny.